Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to October. This is my absolute favorite month. I don't love football, but I love the feeling of the football and the energy of college football. I don't like football though. But I also love pumpkin everything, orange and brown everything, that feeling that you might be able to have cool weather at some point. I think we had a little taste of it this morning on my walk to school. I think it's gone this afternoon, but here in Georgia, you never know. So this month I want to jump into two things. I had a special request this month from one of the lenders to take a kind of zeroed in look at Marietta High School. So I'm going to go Marietta, all of Marietta, for the month of August, and then also zero in on Marietta High School residential detached. And then I have a couple little nuggets of information that I wanted to give you right after the numbers. But first of all, so City of Marietta, September, our active listings were 1,041, and then for Marietta High School it was 119, and that was a 6% decrease over August. So we're starting to see a little bit of a decline in the market again. Let's see here, new listings was 446 for Marietta, and then 58 for Marietta High School. 21% decrease in new listings. No shocker there. People are on vacation. People were not listing their home quite as feverishly in June and July and August as they were earlier in the spring. And sold was 235 for Marietta and 28 in Marietta City. Now Marietta High School. So keep in mind when I say that these are sales that were posted in the FMLS. Some people do their home sales privately and don't get the FMLS involved or listed. So those would not be accounted for in here if you sold your house to a friend that you already knew that wanted to buy it. Let's see here. Your list price median for September for Marietta was $350,000, and for Marietta High School, happy to hear this because this is my district, is $373,500. So that's an increase over Marietta as a whole. Let's see here. Sales price median was $291. We were $304,000 in August, so we have a little bit of a decrease there. But Marietta City is $299,000. Keep saying that. Marietta High School is $299,000. And then the last stat is average days to sell, 37, and that's both for Marietta and Marietta High School. So that number's flat. Kind of looking through the last 2 years that I've been doing this, it's a definite trend. You start a little bit low in January, work your way up in the spring, and then it takes a little bit of a dive in the fall. Not a nosedive, but a little bit of a dive in the fall. I think things will pick up a little bit over the next month before we get into Thanksgiving. After that, it'll be kind of quiet, but things are still looking good in at least Marietta City and surrounding areas. If you have a special request on numbers that you want to see, I can either send them to you privately or I'm happy to incorporate them in my report each month. And so the things, this is my favorite part, I like the nuggets. The things that I wanted to talk about today are your bargaining tactics and then kind of a change in the forms that you're filling out. So I've been reading some books on strategy and how to negotiate with people, and one of the things, like the prevailing lesson is, do you want a win-lose or a win-win in your bargaining? And it's pretty obvious you don't want a win-lose because nobody wants to be the loser in a negotiation. If you leave a transaction feeling like you won, that means the other side probably felt like they lost, and that is going to make for a very unpleasant transaction. So when you go into, say, your negotiating price at the very beginning of the contract, before you even get to contract, and you want to offer $400,000, and you will not go over $400,000, and the seller will not go below $405,000. That's positional bargaining. You've put your feet in the sand. You're not moving from this number. But if your agent has any kind of knowledge of negotiating, they would probably want to make a phone call to the other agent and find out why. What's your motivation for putting your feet in the sand at this particular point? Which it might not be money. It might be repairs. Who knows? So say that it's $5,000 we're arguing over and we just can't seem to close that gap, but we learn from talking, well, they want to save money for the repairs. You're going to ask me for $5,000 or $10,000 in repairs and they can't afford it. Well, here's a solution. How about we just pay the $400,000 we want to pay, but we take the home on an as-is basis, and so you don't have to do any repairs. Hey, we can make a deal. So if you stick to a position, you're probably not going to get to where you want to get and make both sides feel like they've gained something. So if you can look at it more like a win-win, what do I need to get where I need to be, but where do they need to be as well? It's just all about the negotiating and finding alternates on how to get to the result. And the result is for someone to sell a house and someone to buy a house. We all have the same goal. We just might have a different way of getting about it. So think twice before you get angry. Think twice before your emotions and all your feels get a little overwhelming for everybody. That we all want the same thing. We just got to figure out the way to get there. So this is very important, especially when it comes to repairs. Because when you present a seller with a list of 20 things wrong with their house, their first response is defense. Because they think they live in a fantastic house. And we know this because they priced it too high. But just think about how the other side is feeling, how you would receive 20 to 30 repair requests for your home, and try to figure out a softer way to get what you need, and also to help them get what they need, because we want everybody to be happy at the end, especially the agents, because that's how we keep relationships going. But one other thing I wanted to go over with you, because this is a very new change for us, we actually went over it today in our sales meeting, is default. So in the past, if you're a seller and your buyer at the last minute decides that they don't want to buy the house, you had the option to sue for specific performance. That's not the case anymore if you're filling out a Georgia Association of Realtors form, which you are for most licensed realtors in the metro area. So now you have the ability to retain the earnest money, and that's it. That's what you're signing when you sign your Form F-20 purchase and sale agreement. That is something to be very aware of before you sign. And what happened is there's been several court cases that have not resulted in getting specific performance results. So they're just basically getting the earnest money back. So we're cutting out the middleman, getting to the point, getting your earnest money. But to this point, what I'm saying is when you are putting in an offer to purchase a property, there are 8 pages in this document, and 6 of them are legal jargon that you need to read because you are contractually bound to these forms. So Section 2 is default, talks about remedies of the seller, remedies of the buyer, what you could owe a commission even if the sale doesn't go through. You need to be aware of these things. So before you sign it, read it. Have your agent go over it with you. And I will say, it's very common for us to say, here are the sections that explain the first page, but you as a consumer need to read these items because you're bound to it. Anyway, that's it. Those things aren't very fun, and I think I hear my kids bus out there, so I'm going to get going. I hope y'all have a fantastic October. Enjoy your football. I will enjoy the hay rides and the pumpkin picking. So see you guys next month.